Let's see if this is all working. Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me? Yes, yes, is that a yes so you can hear me? Excellent. Yes, that background. That is actually, believe it or not, a work in progress. We're still not 100% sure what main menu we're going to settle on, but a little preview of what we're thinking of doing for the expansion's main menu. It's a little shot from Ugdenbog. Yep, work in progress. So, I hope I look a lot clearer now. I got new lighting for this stream specifically. Hopefully it's making a difference. It looked like it was making a difference in my preview. And, right. So what we're going to do today, as promised last week, we're going to, just like the Inquisitor last time, we're going to go do a full review of the Necromancer abilities. But before we do that, we're going to let some more people pour into the stream. So I'm going to start out. I can say really loud. I think you can adjust the volume on the stream. Right. So before we get started on the full Necromancer review, I'm just going to get into my Necromancer here that we're playing with last time. Okay, so you're not the only one that Mike is loud for. Okay, let's see what I can do, I guess. Any better? Did the volume change at all? Or is it still really loud? On my mic, I mean. It's weird because I didn't change anything, of course. Typical. Okay, it's better now? Great. All I have to do is reinitialize it, apparently. Alrighty. So, throughout the stream, feel free to ask me questions. I might even answer some of them. You need the release date. I'm sure you do. I mean, things are still looking good for September. We'll see. Not committing to that quite yet, because we still have a lot of polish work to do.
I haven't been entirely honest. My sources are quite good. Look, at taking. My sources are quite. I came upon these refugees.
You think after I've played through this so many times, I would know which dialogue to click on? How is it now? Is it better? Do you still hear the buzzing? What the crap? Because my camera microphone was on as well, so I thought maybe that was it. The buzzing is in my head. It's gone? It's gone back on, gone back on. What? It was lower for a moment there. Okay, how about now? How's my volume? Good thing I'm not a pro streamer, I guess. Alright, I just lowered the volume on the mic a little bit. Cool. Hey, we fixed something! Do I need a certain number of viewers to show you the Necro skills? No, not necessarily, but just want to make sure that there's enough people in there so people aren't really missing out. If a blueprint requires 2 or more identical components as reagents, only 1 is needed to craft the item. I guess reported as a bug with info of which blueprint you're referring to. I posted a poll on the forum about rare materials. This is supposed to affect by great margin. Am I gonna add the iron bits to the transfer stash too? I'm not necessarily opposed to adding iron bits to the transfer stash. However, unlike the rare crafting materials, adding that is far more work. We would actually have to change the UI, do some back-end stuff, change how iron bits are stored. So it's something that would take a lot more time to do. Everything to transfer stash. Adding a search bar to the transfer stash also on the to-dos. Yeah, but you know the to-dos is actually pretty damn long, so I can't really tell you when or if it'll happen. I look clear today. New camera? No, new lighting. Since I figure I'm going to be doing this more than once in my lifetime, I went ahead and got fancy streamer lights. That was a little too close for comfort. Streamer lights, green wall, new phone, new microphone. It's not a new microphone. I've been using the same one for years. Yeah, one day I'll be a professional streamer, retiring and making fat loot from subscribers and patron donations instead of making video games.
Can't do that yet. Can't do that yet.
It is true. It is easier to comment on video games than make them. I will tell you that.
Can't do that yet.
Considering that I was having work nightmares last night, I think it might be time to back off work a little bit for now. The worst part of our work nightmares, though, is all that work gets done in your dreams, but then when you wake up, none of it is actually finished. So what was the point?
Can't do that yet.
Oh, that's right, Gazer Man. I forgot about my buddy here. There he is.
Can't do that yet.
So found out Blizzard is hiring for a D2 remaster a la StarCraft. Thoughts on this? Cool, I guess. Good for them. I don't know. It certainly is nostalgic.
not ready.
Will there be a new Shard of Bernath-esque item in this expansion? I mean, there's going to be all sorts of new components. If you get fired for watching this at work, can you come work for us? You can accept ether damage as payment. Well, if ether damage as payment counts, then sure, by all means. How many components? Ah, I keep forgetting. Alright, just gonna pause the stream for a second. It's gonna be 24 new components. You wanted to know if some new components that are coming in the expansion had elemental conversion set on them in order to enable some new builds. I am pretty sure one of them has elemental conversion, yes. How many new auto attack skills are added from components gear? I think there's at least 2, maybe 3. I don't remember off the top of my head. How much will the expansion cost? Between $10 to $20. There was an argument on Twitch about retaliation. Someone was saying it activates not just on hits, but also when you dodge or the enemy misses. It is, in fact, true. If you dodge, block, or the enemy... Well, I don't think it triggers off of misses, but... fumbles, blocks, deflects, any sort of stuff like that will trigger it, because then otherwise you'd be getting penalized for being defensive, which retaliation builds want to be.
Skills not ready.
You would go for 20 euros, anything less is selling yourself short. Well, I'm glad you think so. We can't get too close to the base game price, or else, you know, it's gonna seem a little off, at least it does to me. On the subject of price, how many copies do we have to sell to break even or profit? Haven't really done the math on that yet. I would say if we sell 30% of the base game in copies, it's going to be a great success. You carry enough money in your wallet to buy 100,000 copies? Props to you, but you might want to put that somewhere else. Do we have plans on making another expansion in the future? We have ideas for what another expansion would entail, but whether we make one or not depends entirely on if the first one is worth it. Did I buy curtains to block out the sunlight? No, I just got new lighting, and yes, I did close the curtains. I will tell you though, these new lights are warm. Do we have plans on making another free content patch in the future? Well, after the expansion is released, there's almost certainly going to be a patch that includes an update to the Crucible. There will probably be a couple free content updates, balancing patches. How long we support the expansion for is remains to be seen. But I expect it will be comparable to the base game, probably. We'll see. Can you get a higher drop chance on Ikrik's scale? I'll have to take a look at that. Do gazers actually breathe? I don't know, this one behind me isn't breathing too much. Attribute reset and expansion? Well, or in the future. Yes, there's going to be an attribute reset in the expansion. New project stream when? It's not quite there yet. I only recently gave the artists away from Grim Dawn so they could actually get some work done on that. And they're still chipping away at Grim Dawn even now. In fact, as we speak, one of our artists is working on the skill art for the final boss.
We can't do that yet.
Yes, Bob's skill art. Will the new boss be as much of a clusterfuck like old Log was? No, probably not. But really, Loghorn only turns into a clusterfuck if you let him.
Can't do that yet.
New final boss though, oh man. It is crazy. Still needs some tuning, but it's getting there.
These are trying.
Are there tentacles anywhere in the X-Bag? Sort of. Will the final boss be as enjoyable as good old Charzul or the Ether Trio? Sure? Will the final boss be as lethal as pre-release Log was? Probably not. Oops, wrong rift gate.
So how do good work?
As hard as the original Loghorian was, I originally tested him with white quality gear, under-leveled, and still killed him without dying, so, you know. The expansion is absolutely coming out this year. There's no question there.
I hear you've dragged all.
I wasn't sure you'd make it. I wish that I'm going to check.
I'll skip the pleasantries. Olgrim tells me you're one tough slith, and right now that's what I need most. Will you fight for the Black Legion? The Legion is split on two fronts.
Skipping dialogue, well, yeah. I've only, read it a jillion times. Release on December 31st confirmed. I really hope not. Will there finally be an overall sound overlay to all characters? I'm afraid not. All major quest NPCs have dialogue, just like in the base game, and a lot of side characters have an intro dialogue, but we did not have full voiceovers, no. How did I skip audio when the audio guy's watching? I'm sorry. At least it's not the new stuff. The new stuff's good. I swear I'll listen to the new stuff all the way through. That is true, I do have to turn down the background music. You want to see Malmouth soon? You'll see it very soon. Well, you will. Not everybody in the stream. Soon, caveat for the testers. How soon after the stream? I still have a couple things I need to look at, but I expect it'll go up tonight or tomorrow. Into close testing. You need XSpec now! I know, we all do. We all do. Especially me. Think about that. Think about how long I've been working on this thing. I'm ready for it to be done. Do any of the mythical sets change the final completion bonus skill proc? Yes. Yes, they do. In some cases, they lose their proc entirely. You bought the XSpec way before the alpha, so you don't remember. Does the $40 version come with the XSpec or no? I think the $40 version was the mid-tier, which came with some in-game stuff, but not the expansion. But you'll have to double-check. Are there low-level relics coming also, or only new mythical relics? There are new relics coming. We're adding a few Tier 1 relics, just kind of open up new options. In fact, it'll be a Tier 1 summoning relic if you want to get a pet out early from a relic. There's going to be 2 new mid-tier relics for the Necromancer and Inquisitor, and a whole bunch of mythical ones. Can I make the Aura of Censure more fiery? The brown cloud does not look good. I suppose I'll take a look at that effect. Are mythical, I think you mean mythical. Are mythical thingies like super duper rare? No, I mean mythical legendaries are simply higher level versions of legendaries from the base game. So they're just as likely or unlikely to drop for you as legendaries are now. Will some of the new relics have default attacks on them? I can't remember off the top of my head. I think there might have been one that does. Mythical sets don't lose their proc when you complete the set. It's just that some mythical sets are going to get skill modifiers instead of a proc. Show you the new stash space, alright? No streamer rips yet. There was a close call. So first off, what we did with the expansion storage is we turned the personal character storage into a tabbed storage. So you have 5 tabs available in your personal stash per character. In addition, you also have the transfer stash, which is gaining 1 more tab, and we actually added 2 more columns of space. So a lot more room.
I'll keep an eye on this.
And while we're here, might as well do some illusions. Let's see, I'm feeling like an admiral today. Yes, I suppose that will do.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
Oops, I canceled out of that. There we go. Delusion is one of the best eye candy additions for sure. Just looking at the thread and close testing of them trying it out is definitely going to be fun once everybody has access to it. I look forward to see what combinations people come up with. That's right, you can't save the world looking like a bum. You have to look like a proper admiral. Is that the Aetherwoe mace I am using right now? Technically no, because I have an illusion on it. Will there be illusion options to make items invisible? Not at this time, but it seems like it's a popular request, so we'll see what we can do down the line.
That skill's not ready.
Accidentally hid the chat. Can you tell us more about how respecking will work in the expansion? Respecking what? It pretty much works exactly the same as it does now.
Can't do that yet.
Can you respect the full mastery bar? You can respect your mastery bar down to 1 point in the expansion.
That skill's not ready.
Does Bone Harvest increase in length size with levels? Not with levels, but the first modifier does increase its distance. In terms of loot drops, will there be some kind of split between regular legendaries only dropping in Elite and their mythical versions in Ultimate? I'm asking this because trying to complete a mythical or non-mythical set could be a pain if not, don't you think? It's going to be level based. So if you go to an area that's not up to the new level cap, you would get the older legendaries, the lower level legendaries. And if you go to areas that scale up to level 100, then you would get mythical legendaries. And new legendaries as well. Will Etrim not scale up to 100? He will not. But there will be a new Celestial Smith for you to find that does make the higher level legendaries. Imagine Arousal level as a new character resource, getting ideas for Grim Dawn 2 here. I see where you're going with this, and I like it. We'll have to discuss this later in detail. Grim Dawn 2, Erotica. Cap still 85? No, the level cap is increasing to 100. See, does that mean all areas in Grim Dawn with the expansion won't be at the new level cap in Ultimate? In Ultimate, everything scales to your level. Can mythical legendaries be crafted at the Blacksmith and Tyrant's Hold? As I said, I think just a few moments ago, the Blacksmith Etrim Fald will only craft the old legendaries. There will be a new Celestial Blacksmith in the expansion areas that will allow you to craft the new higher level legendaries with new crafting materials. To 100, not 200. To 100. What are the requirements for crafting the new legendaries? There's going to be new crafting materials that drop from the new areas, and you will need those. Mainly so you don't get to the new blacksmith and immediately craft 10,000 legendaries because you've stockpiled crafting materials from the base game. Who got ignored twice? What did I miss? If you're level 85 plus and want to farm for non-mythical versions, you'll have to play in elite difficulty. Yeah, I suppose so. Is it just for like completionist reasons that you want to complete old sets? Because every legendary set is going to get a higher level version. Screw you, table. Will you be able to reclaim base stat points? What do you mean by base stat points? You mean like the 50 you start with? Just attributes you invest. Yes, so there will be a way to reset any attribute points you've spent in the expansion. And then you'll be able to spend them again however you want. Who's the first one to mod Fist of Vire to show the finger instead? Well, if that's not out on release day, I don't know what you modders are doing. Any new conversion options for items planned? All sorts. There's going to be all sorts of new ways to convert your damage.
skills not ready.
Is there a mythical Anasteria helm? Yes. Yes, there is. How far do item granted skill mods go? Do any of them change skills as much as item skill transmuters or skill transmuters? Yes, absolutely. In fact, some just completely change the damage type of the skill, similar to what transmuters do. For example, you can get the Flame of Ignifar from Inquisitor to be cold damage, which I believe was actually something that was requested on the forum a few months back. What's another one I can think of? I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of like that just change the damage. Add new effects, all sorts of crazy stuff. What about holding down the pickup keybind to keep picking loot up? Wishlist item? So you know how that goes. I think it's not a bad idea, I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Can't do that yet.
Do I read your crash reports? You always thank Obama in the message when the game crashed. I personally don't see the crash reports. They're sent to a database that the programmers look at. I've got my own list of bugs to worry about that don't involve code. Yeah, it's a pretty big collection over the years. Is there a mythical Herald of the Apocalypse with meter skill that actually hits things? Yeah, I suppose so, since I reduced its radius. Do we plan to add lifesteal for spells that don't have weapon damage? If you mean like some sort of spell lifesteal, not necessarily, but there are skill modifiers that do add life leash to skills that don't normally have it. Cyclone Whirlwind when? I'll have to ask a programmer for that. A channeled attack radius. Yeah, I mean it's doable. We would just need to make it. Can you get a fire tornado in the X-Spec like Sharzul's? I don't remember 100% off the top of my head, but I think I might have actually made an item that does have that effect on it. Is there a beast color like set for Necro-Occultist or Necro-Shaman summoning? I'm pretty sure there is, at least one, if not two. Alright, there's a bunch of people sitting in the stream now. I don't have to get all the way to the amalgamation here. I'm going to switch over to my test level. And we're going to go through every Necromancer skill one by one, just like we went over for Inquisitor last time. Can we get a set that grants you an extra hand for triple wielding? I'll have to think about that. So welcome to my test world. It's a little fancier than Josh's, I suppose, since I have like every item in the game in here. And a few new ones. Yes, everybody screenshot like crazy. Alright. Necromancer Skills. Starting at the top. We've got Reaping Strike, which is a weapon pool proc. By infusing their weapons with deadly necrotic energies, necromancers can inflict physical wounds that cut deeper than just the flesh. This weapon pool proc works with any weapon type. You can use it with ranged, two-handers, one-handers, melee. Next we got Necrotic Edge, which is also a weapon pool proc. By striking with the chill of the grave, your attacks inflict instant necrosis upon afflicted wound, the sight of which can cause even the most resolute foes to falter. And again with this one, it activates off of all weapon types, so it's pretty flexible in terms of what you can do. Let's see if we can get it to proc here. Nope, that's the life leech one. There we go. Next up, and you saw me using this when I was playing my Necromancer earlier, we've got Siphon Souls. In a ghastly release of necrotic energies, you attempt to harvest the spirits of nearby foes with a cruel curse, draining them of their very essence while transferring it to you. So this is a point-blank AoE that debuffs nearby enemies and saps life from them. And it does increase in size as you increase the rank. Its modifier, known as Blood Boil, the curse boils the blood within your enemies, causing them to rapidly decay even as they draw their final breaths. Adds additional damage and introduces bleed damage and increases the damage of the vitality aspect of the skill. Which, if you convert with Sear Souls, changes into the vitality damage into ether damage. By channeling the raw energies of the ether into the soul siphon, a necromancer can sear the very souls of their enemies for an extended period of time, but the essence transferred in this manner is not as stable. So the exchange you've got here is you increase the duration of the debuff to the point where it actually lasts longer than the cooldown, and it changes the damage to ether, but it does do less damage over time. What happens to vitality decay when you convert it to ether damage? Nothing happens, the vitality decay damage simply just stays. So you would do ether damage and vitality decay. Next up, and you've seen me using this in my playthrough earlier, Drain Essence. Necromancers firmly believe in the concept of the greater good, and sometimes the greater good means that one's life essence must be sacrificed so that another may live. Though this transfer is frowned upon, some practitioners have trouble resisting the temptation of raw vital energy. So that's the base skill. Now if I add this modifier here called Hungering Reach, the hunger for life's essence cannot be easily sated once experienced. With your hungering desires poured into the spell, Drain Essence sometimes affects nearby foes in addition to the primary target. And then, you're not just draining your initial target, you're also draining nearby enemies. For the full damage of the skill, I might add. And finally, Decomposition. Even before life has left their eyes, your foes begin to decompose and fall apart where they stand. This final modifier for Drain Essence adds additional offensive ability reduction and vitality decay. Next up, we've got the first of the Necromancer's exclusive skills. It's called Harbinger of Souls. Having mastered death, you become a living harbinger of that final fate. The life essence of your enemies, but a plaything to manipulate at will. So this one is more focused on vitality and ether with lifesteal. So if you're a melee character or a ranged character that uses weapon damage, this is your go-to. Also, if you're a fan of souls swirling around you, that's always good too. Oh, I completely forgot about this. We have a transmuter on Drain Essence called Grave Chill. Necromancers well versed in the whispers of death can force the chill of the grave upon their unwilling victims, slowing their actions, but sapping less of their life essence. So if you want a spammable, life-draining attack that does cold damage, that's what you can take. Next up, Ravenous Earth. At your command, disease and rot pour forth through a hellish maw within the earth and infect all unfortunate enough to stand too close. So this is a vitality poison damage combo ability that's sort of similar to Sigil, but not quite if you try it out right over here. Its first modifier, Decay. The toxic fumes of decay emanate from the earth, weakening the resolve of enemies standing too close. So this one not only reduces the damage your enemies deal when they get hit by this ability, it also increases the damage of the base skill. And finally, Foul Eruption. The vile necrotic energies suffuse the flesh, causing slain foes to sometimes erupt violently, spilling disease and ichor onto nearby enemies. So this final modifier for Ravenous Earth will cause enemies that are affected by it to explode, debuffing nearby enemies for additional damage and reducing their resistances. Transmuter, Embalm. You carefully preserve the bodies of your enemies, slowing decay and transforming them into relics to be bound by future archaeologists. How many decays can you have active at once? Just like with all dots in the game, different sources of a dot will stack. So like poison, like burn damage, vitality decay works the same way. It'll stack. Next up, and you saw me using this during the stream, it's called Bone Harvest. Through a force of necrotic energies, a necromancer can force the bones of the long forgotten to burst forth from the earth like jagged spines and impale unwary foes. The first modifier for it, Terror, increases its distance traveled in addition to adding vitality, decay, and life leech, and a chance to fear enemies as well. The necrotic bone spires pierce into the very essence of your enemies, ripping the life from their bodies and sending weaker foes fleeing if their lives are not already claimed.
I can't do that yet.
And finally, Soul Harvest. The bones of the dead fragment and absorb the souls of your foes, empowering you and your minions with the power of death. So this is similar to Deadly Momentum for the Soldier's Cadence ability, in that every time you strike an enemy with Bone Harvest, you're going to get a buff that increases not only your bonuses, but also your pets. And it looks like I forgot about this spell effect, so it needs some tweaks. And finally, the Transmuter for Bone Harvest, Harvester of Death. Necromancers trained in melee combat are not uncommon, but those who brandish heavy two-handed weapons to cut swaths of death across the battlefield rightfully earn themselves the title of Bone Harvesters. There have been rumors of the Black Legion having employed such individuals in their ranks rather than having them executed for defying Imperial decree. Let's get a two-hander open here. So this increases the damage the ability does and converts 100% of your physical damage to cold, but it does reduce the range.
I can't do that yet.
Next up, Reap Spirit. One of the most powerful techniques bestowed upon his followers by Ouroboros. By ripping apart the very being of your foe, one can not only inflict grievous harm, but also conjure forth a fragment of their soul to serve you. The resulting spirit is unstable and highly aggressive, which makes it all the more useful in battle. So this is an interesting hybrid ability because it does a lot of damage straight up in the first place, but it also summons a pet that scales with pet damage. And at higher ranks, and with enough cooldown reduction, you can actually get multiple wraiths up at once. Does Reef Spirit work on bosses like Mad Queen? Yes, it'll work on bosses just fine. Is that 30% weapon damage on Bone Harvest added to the base damage? Yes. Any estimations for the Xbox base game release? Not really ready to talk about that, other than, I mean, it is coming, and we're working on it. We're working on a lot of back-end stuff to make that happen, which will actually also have some positive repercussions for the game, the PC version, which we look forward to sharing with you guys. So, race skeletons, the bread and butter of every necromancer. You've seen this in previous streams. The art of reanimating skeletal remains is among the first rites of aspiring necromancers, but also one of the most rudimentary. Through sheer will, a necromancer may call upon the spirits beyond the veil and draw them into the bones of the deceased. Should the ritual succeed, skeletal minions, loyal only to the summoner, shall rise. So the cool thing about this race skeleton ability here is that the types of skeletons you summon actually vary with rank. So initially you're going to summon primarily fragile melee skeletons, with an occasional chance to summon ranged archer skeletons. And as you increase the ranks, you're also going to introduce mage skeletons and revenants. So let's see what we can do here. So it looks like we got a revenant, a mage, and an archer.
That skill's not ready.
Next up, Undead Legion. Mastery of Resurrection rituals reduces the mental strain upon the caster, enabling you to maintain additional minions and do so for a longer period. I guess that longer period part doesn't really count anymore because we made them permanent. So I'll have to remove that text. But this way, not only can you summon them more frequently, but you can get more of them up at once. What are the damage types of the skeletal mages? Primarily fire with some vitality.
That skill's not ready.
So now we've got 6 up at once. Finally, we have Will of the Crypt. Infuse your skeletal minions with necrotic energies, strengthening their bones against physical blows. So this not only increases the damage of your skeletal minions, it's also going to make them tougher and less likely to get pwned. Next up, Ill Omen. The mere presence of a necromancer is often enough to inspire terror within their enemies. You unleash a ghostly wail upon your target that shatters the confidence of lesser foes and rapidly spreads confusion and fear amongst your enemies. What is this? Is this out? No, I'm afraid it's not out quite yet. So Ill Omen is a crowd control ability for the Necromancer that spreads between your foes. I'm going to cast it on these guys here, but they're all just going to get wrecked. Oh, that was a neat little pattern. Look at it go! Oh, yep. Well, this group is all dead. I suppose I deserve this. Summon Blight Fiend. Unmoved by the noxious fumes of decay, you conjure forth an abomination made of corpses and rotten filth to rise up from the earth and subdue your enemies. So this is sort of the tankier summon for the Necromancer. More durable than the skeletons, but you only get 1 up at a time. Oh, ain't he cute. Now come here, let them see you. There we go. Alright, go. Barf on everything. The nice thing about this little guy, when he dies, or gets disbanded, he pops and leaves behind a pool of poison. If you like that aspect of this skill, you can take the modifier here, the transmuter here, Unstable Anomaly. While a Blight Fiend can serve as an ample guardian, a twist in a necromantic ritual can also turn into a highly unstable vector for spreading rotten decay across the battlefield. These unstable abominations will rampage through your foes before violently erupting after a brief period. So what this transmuter lets you do is actually get up to 3 Blight Fiends up at the same time, but they don't last very long. So the only way you're really going to get multiples of them is if you get cooldown reduction or get the right items. But if you're a big fan of them exploding on everything, this is your go-to. There he goes. And ready to put up another one. The first modifier for the Blight Fiend, Rotting Fumes. The stench emanating from the Blight Fiend becomes impossible to withstand, with the very air around the creature inducing vomiting and blurring vision. So this is an aura that gets applied around the Blight Fiend that increases with the radius increases with rank, and it causes it to generate additional threat, keeping your other minions and yourself safe. And lastly, for the Blight Fiend, Blight Burst. Toxic gases build up within the rotting bulk of the Blight Fiend, which it can then release upon unsuspecting foes in a toxic eruption of decay. There it goes. Right before he dies. And finally, on the final column of the mastery, we've got Master of Death, the second exclusive skill for the mastery. This one is focused on pet builds specifically. A fully trained necromancer is a terrifying thing to behold, their arrival heralded by the endless legions of the dead, for we're bound to the will of the master. Next up, Spectral Binding. Binding spirits is a dangerous practice, but one that can be vastly rewarding with forgotten knowledge or even protection. By forcing the spirits of the fallen to serve, you become infused with their essence, granting you vitality and further control over your necrotic powers. So this is a toggled buff. This increases your damage and your defenses here. That's how it looks. So I'll turn off the exclusive skill so you can see it by itself. And its modifier is actually a proc that happens when you get struck by other enemies. The specters empowering you lash out at anything that dares strike you, cursing it with a debilitating spell from beyond the grave. So we're gonna have to get an enemy here that can actually hit me. Great. Alright guys, hit me. And there it is. Does Necro have some sort of auto-attack replacer like Savagery or Cadence? He does not. Next up, Call of the Grave. Upon their master's command, your minions can unleash the power of the grave that fuels them, throwing them into a vicious frenzy. So this is a duration buff that you can cast on yourself, and that will empower all of your minions. Actually, let's zoom in on this one and turn off this. Next up, Mark of Torment. Though all must ultimately answer to that final fate, your mastery of death has allowed you to delay the inevitable. By linking your soul to a nearby foe, you transfer some of the harm intended for you into them instead. So the way this ability works is it's similar to Mirror of Arioctes for Arcanist, but all damage you take, regardless of the source, a portion of that damage is transferred to the target you cast it on. Let's see. No, let's right over it. Alright, guys, you're taking way too long to get to me here.
I can't do that yet.
Alright, there we go. So, that was the full review of the Necromancer abilities. Would you guys like to see something again? I heard someone miss skeletons here, so I can get some up here again.
Yeah.
How many green pools can you get out at once? You mean Ravenous Earth? As many as you can with your cooldown reduction. So the more cooldown reduction you have, the more of them you can get out at once. You just got here, you'd like to see them all again. I don't think I'm gonna run through them all, but you can see the recording of the Twitch stream right after this. Or if you have a very particular request that you'd like to see, I can do it now. Why are range mostly idly? I mean, it's the same aggro table, that just might be too far away to notice that the enemy's nearby. I mean, under normal circumstances, if I attacked something, they would immediately attack, but I'm just sitting back. What was the first exclusive skill? You missed that. So that is called Harbinger of Souls. It is primarily intended for boosting ether and vitality damage, as well as giving you a lot of lifesteal. Alright guys, let's chill out over here. We're making too much noise. Alright, let's get that on here. Harbinger of Souls. When is the expansion coming out? It's coming out this year for sure. Seeing if we can make it in quarter 3, otherwise it'll be quarter 4. We'll see how it goes. It will not be quarter 2, that's for sure. Are any of the old masteries getting new skills? The answer is no. If we need to make any changes to old masteries, we would make them through a balancing pass, but we're not adding new skills. How's testing going? I would say it's going pretty well. We haven't had any terrifying bugs pop up yet, and we're going to toss the second half of the expansion into close testing really soon. And by really soon, I mean later today or this weekend. Harbinger of Souls lifesteal works with pets. No, it does not. It is only applied to you. Spawn some new mobs for Skellies to fight with. Alright, what should I spawn? Oh, come on. How many times am I going to misspell that command? Wow. Can I quickly go over some of the later active skills? Let's see, we've got Siphon Souls, which is point blank debuff AoE. We've got Ravenous Earth, which you saw me using here earlier. We've got Reap Spirit. I think this has been answered by the size of the new act. How big? Just a ballpark figure. Way too big. It is by far the biggest act in the game. Probably close to 2 acts from the base game, to be honest. We thought we had a lot of story to tell, and so we're telling it, and you guys will get it really soon. Reap Spirit is pet bonus scaling. The base damage of the ability scales with player damage, but the pet you summon scales with pet bonuses, yes. Can I show you a cool legendary item skill, maybe? I don't remember off the top of my head what they all do. There's a bunch of new ones. How effective will it be in melee fight without a summoner? I mean, it'll be decent. It depends on which part of the skill you're focusing on, I suppose. No pure player scaled pets. I believe there's a new player scaling pet from Gear, but not from class summons. I mean, the Inquisitor traps are technically player scaling pets. Let's see. Oh, look at all this new stuff. A new ability on a legendary. I don't know. I don't remember any of them off the top of my head. Let's see what I can get. Any chance of a chthonic faction you can befriend like the Outcast? No, I don't think so. Any new types of auto-attack replacers for ether or chaos damage in terms of relics, set items, or even item modifiers? Yes, there are item modifiers that should give you some more options for ether and chaos. Is the devotion map reworked to fit the new constellations? Yes, I suppose so. We made room for some new ones, like, for example, Rumor right here. The Quill. Phoenix. Ultos. Ratosh. Atakseru. Let's see what else we got. We have the Bard's Harp. You have Ishtak. Vyre the Stone Maiden. Stone Matron. Did I miss anything? Alright, we've got... where's the Wretch? Where did I put him? There he is. The Wretch. The Toad. Typhos, the Jailer of Souls. Any new pet constellations? Absolutely. Are you getting a higher level of faction gear? Not for old factions, but the new factions will have higher level equipment. Necromancer positions himself as a battle mage or a full mage? Both? Do it whichever way you want. Rename Toad to Pepe? I think not. Let's see. Any new perma-pet relics? Yes. Actually, think about the size of the expansion, of how ridiculously big it's gotten. Honestly, the safest comparison to tell you would be that honestly it's 2 acts. It is the equivalent of 2 acts from the base game. Because just through Ugden Bog and to the area beyond is legitimately just 1 act of the base game, and then the areas leading up to Malmouth and Malmouth itself both turned out so big and so full of content that yeah, straight up you're getting 2 acts this expansion. Any new special areas not gated by scaler keys or the like? Well, I mean, there's going to be all sorts of side content that you won't need a skeleton key for. We're working on another roguelike dungeon that's going to require a skeleton key. Yeah, only 2 acts, lazy devs. What were we thinking? Do you get 2 skill points per level between 85 to 100? You will get 2 skill points per level up to level 90, and then you'll get 1 skill point per level after. Is there a mythical spirit cannon? Yes, there is. Yeah, I would say like Act 1 plus 3. Pretty comparable. Now that we're pretty much working on polish and not adding more stuff. Will Crucible be updated with X-Spec bosses? I would like to, but it's not going to happen before the release of the expansion. So you get half the base game plus 2 new masteries and more. You'll say $20 monies would still be a bargain. Yeah, I suppose it would. Mythical skeleton keys when? Not anytime soon. Did I adjust the experience required to get to 85? I have not. But we have looked at the experience earned from killing monsters on Elite and Ultimate, and we have increased that substantially. $20 new skill points in total. Yes and no, because you are going to get at least 1 more skill point from a quest on Ultimate difficulty. Any new mitigation stuff at higher levels, or will you get super wrecked and debuffed to hell at level 90 plus? Well, I mean, you're going to get more powerful gear, so it kind of balances out, or at least it should. Anything I should go over again for the Necromancer while I'm here? I mean, there's all this sweet stuff here, but I don't think I'll be picking any of it up today. In conjunction with which class can the Necromancer show the maximum efficiency? Well, that is kind of a subjective question. It really depends on what you'd like to do and what you're going for. Show you all those items. Well, I am. I mean, I'm going right past them right now. Look at all the items. I better pick something up. Show you the Gut Smasher. Let's see. How do I click up? Now, keep in mind that the icon for this isn't quite ready yet. We haven't gone through item bitmaps just yet. And that's the Gut Smasher. Show you some nice conversion weapons. Resist cap staying at 80. Yes, the resist caps are not increasing, but there are ways to increase your resist cap through gear. Man, I've showed you guys way too much today. We're going to have to cancel a few streams to make up for this. All these items for Necromancer? No, these are for Necromancer, Inquisitor, all the old classes. Will there be more variety in shield damage types? I believe so. There's definitely some that are more caster-oriented. The Bulgothian set. Oh, I bet you'd like to see that one. But it doesn't have its final art yet. Yeah, I have a gut feeling the Gut Smasher is a good name for an item. Is that a mod? Well, yes, it is a developer mod where I have everything in the game for testing purposes. Are we giving you more items that will open up better build diversity? Well, I certainly hope so. That's kind of the point of every item we ever add. Will the expansion be accessible in all 3 difficulties? Yes, absolutely. But you will not have to play through the expansion 3 times to unlock the higher difficulties. Will the map I plan right now be in game? No. This is my own special world. Camille world, if you will. I just don't think about localizations. What, is Gut difficult to localize to other languages? Do those translate in a similar way? I mean, I'd have to learn a lot more languages to be aware of such things. But if you have some that are particularly challenging, I suppose you can let me know. Can you reset attributes points in the expansion? Yes, you will have a way of resetting attribute points. Let's see. There we go. While I'm showing you of everything there is, this is an empowered relic that we're adding that allow you to get a pet out earlier in the game. There he is, my little buddy. It'll go really well with Crab Mando. Is old act level scaling changed with the new areas added? Yes, but primarily on the higher difficulties. So, for example, on elite difficulty, we increased the level range because it's the level you'll be entering it will vary more than it used to. Will you be able to add map marker in the expansion? I'm afraid not. It's sort of a wishlist item. Yeah, look at him bob up and down. He's playing to his own beat. Will the new relics require level 70 mythical relic to craft? I believe they all do, yes. Well, not all of them. Not all the new relics do, but many do, yes. You have already prepared everything for the DLC. Everything is a bit strong of a word. There's still a lot of polish and tuning left to do. A couple of sort of side things that I've wanted to get into the game. A new secret area that we're working on. Do we get a components inventory? I prefer to just give you more inventory space, so we've expanded the personal and transfer stash significantly, so you can fit all those components in there. Is there a place you can look up some more detailed info on this expansion? Yes. If you go to our forum on grimdawn.com and you go to developer updates, there's something we call Grim Misadventures, which have been running for years now, and I believe the last 20 or so cover expansion sneak peeks. Can you show you some of the skills given by new components? Not today. We'll save that for another time. Can I show you a new relic that gives an auto replacer? Same thing, I think. I think we showed you a lot today. Oh, come on. This is like straight up 50 minutes of non-stop spoilers, and you want to see components and relics today too? I even showed you one of the relics. You have to let me have something left for all those Grim Misadventures I still have to post. Grava would show you? No, he wouldn't. Grava has a lot more self-control than that. Can I give you the expansion now? I mean, I could, but should I? Will you see Fire Chaos gear that complements pets? I mean, there's already some gear like that. But I think there's probably some new ones I don't remember off the top of my head. Crab needs nerfing? This is why I shouldn't show you nice things. Alright guys, I'm going to be signing off here soon so I can get some more work done before we push out the new test build. Are there any final questions or anything you'd like to see before I sign off? That I've already shown you instead of something new. Although I do amazingly have one more thing to spoil for you in a second here. Because, you know, I haven't spoiled enough. What level was that relic? That relic is level 25. One more thing! Show final boss. As if. Come on, give me some credit. Yeah, that the new main menu. Or at least a version of it. Does the Necro get the same attribute points per level as Arcanist? No. Necromancer ends up with more physique. Is it a boop slider? No, I'm afraid not. Alright, final spoiler here for the evening. Or evening. It's not even the evening yet. So this goes in conjunction with what we showed you last time. It's a matching set, if you will. Will the background menu change randomly between current and new, or will it switch permanently? If you install the expansion, you'll have a new main menu. Do we touch attribute balancing at all? No, we have not made any major changes to that. Life of Grimace Adventures. Yeah, basically, today's was kind of. Oh yeah, you're seeing all my derpy test character names. Yes, I made one long ago called DA Test for defensive ability scaling. For what is that set? Will you believe me if I tell you this is not a set? How about optimization? We'll see. Optimization is an ongoing effort. I hope we can get some more improvements in the future. No pants equals shit set. Yeah, I know, right? Will be some specific looks added later to the game for every build, like Blade Master of some unique look, Pet Conjure of some unique animal shape, etc. I mean, that is kind of the role that sets fulfill. So if you have a set that works for Blade Master, that is kind of the Blade Master theme. I mean, that's basically how we approach when we go about designing the appearance of a set. We just kind of think about what would a Blade Master look like, what would, you know, pure Necromancer look like the set I'm wearing right here on the main screen, although I guess it's covered up now. Will you be able to respec attribute points and mastery points? Yes. You'll be able to reset your attribute points, and you'll be able to respec your mastery points down to 1. Customize my armor now. Yeah, alright. I'll have to hide this little preview here, so you can actually see. Adal new secret mastery. Yeah, that is my super secret work in progress mastery.
You see anything you like?
Let's see, what can we make myself look like here? Yeah, sure, let's go for that. Let's go for weird. Actually, that's a good look. A new load screen is in the works. It is not quite ready yet. There we go, nice and random. And that's an illusionist for you. Yeah, this is pretty much all Dickie's been doing on close testing. He's reported 0 bugs, he's just been making illusions. Belgothian set next Grim Misadventure, pretty please. You know what? If the expansion's not out yet, and the Belgothian set has its final appearance finished, then I will show it off on the forum. Will there be a set for melee vitality damage? Yes. Question 4. A class that is obsessed lore-wise with permanency and stagnation. I find it kind of weird that they have base pets that are timed. I can understand a timed ultimate a la Druid, but skeletons that crumble within seconds, smells of Necromancy class dropout. But Necromancer skeletons are not temporary, they're permanent. You can make the Blight Fiend a temporary pet, and the Wraith from Reap Spirit is a temporary pet. But skeletons are permanent. Will there be a new full pet Lego set to upgrade from Beast Callers? In addition to there being new pet sets, the Beast Caller set is getting a mythical version, so yes. Permanent and squishy. Yes, skeletons are squishy, but you can make them tougher with their modifier. And their cooldown is pretty short. Alright guys, I do unfortunately have to get back to work. I think I spoiled quite a bit for you for today, but it was worth it, I suppose. So I'm going to go right back to getting that expansion out into your hands as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, see you guys next time, and see you on the forum.